What's going on, guys? Your boy King Red Diamonds, and I'm back for another Neo 2 video. Today in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a discussion with our mid to late early game players. These are people who are pretty much like going through Dream of the Strong or have completed Dream of the Strong, going into Dream of the Demon, and then their next difficulty will be Dream of the Wise. So people pretty much in that mid game area. This one is for you guys because I do get a lot of questions about like certain builds, what builds to use for someone who is maybe not at the end game level, but kind of coming towards there. They want to start getting into builds. My recommendation is always just to wait until you get the Dream of the Wise, where you start getting ethereal gear. The reason why is because if you try to make a build now, by the time you get to Dream of the Wise, that build will be obsolete. It won't really be useful because you're going to get into higher tier and higher rarity gear. So wasting your materials and wasting your your hard earned gold or silver or whatever, like basically like using all that stuff up, you're going to be upset because when you get to that late game, you're going to need all of that stuff. So that's why I always recommend just try to max out your stats on the weapon that you're using, and then just keep on pumping points into your stats until you hit Dream of the Wise, and then start worrying about a build. Okay, that's what I usually recommend. But before I get into it, I ask you guys please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all so much for the support. It means the world to me. So let's get right into this video. So again, for the mid game players, the people who are pretty much like Dream of the Strong, Dream of the Wise, and then Dream of the Strong, Dream of the Demon, and going into Dream of the Wise. This is for you guys to pretty much give you some advice on how to keep progressing in the game. Now, you of course, like a lot of people want to get to making their builds and get their builds like done, and start doing a lot of damage to bosses and enemies and stuff. But again, I do recommend waiting until Dream of the Wise to truly start worrying about a build. Reason being, again, is because once you hit Dream of the Wise, you'll start getting into ethereal gear. Dream of the Strong and Dream of the Demon, that introduces you to Divine Gear. And yes, Divine Gear does, like, it is a step up from the gear that you get in the main, like in the beginning stages, like Dream of the Samurai. But um, it becomes obsolete very quickly, strictly because after Dream of the Demon, Divine Gear is no longer really useful. Ethereal Gear takes over the game completely, because then you get into Ethereal Graces, and then you get into plus sets, which are pretty much the upgraded version of the normal sets that are already in the game. So, for example, if I bring you over to the blacksmith, come over to Forge, go to Armor, we come on down to say uh, this one right here, Ruler of the Riverside Yokai. If I was to craft this set right now and get it as a divine piece of gear, which is the green colored gear, it would come with these set bonuses, right? But then once I hit, say, Dream of the Wise, Dream of the Nioh, and I fight the person who drops this gear, that gear is going to drop with better rolls and better stats, simply because it's known as a plus set. Now, if you don't know what a plus set is, it pretty much I'm gonna go to my storehouse for you guys. So this right here, if you see a piece of gear that has, it's set down at the bottom and then it has a plus next to it, that is known as a plus set. This means that this set is going to be more powerful than the normal set that it would look like. So Shadows of a Dream is the Otake Maru set that drops in the first Samurai DLC. This plus set comes with additional bonuses. As you can see at the bottom, it says melee damage ailing enemy. That special effect will not be on its normal set. So if I craft this gear as a divine piece of gear, it will not have that extra effect. That's why when I say you want to wait until you put a build together until the later game, that is why. Because you're going to end up getting gear that's even better than the gear you have now. And now you've pretty much put all of your materials and resources into putting your build together, not knowing that you're going to need all of that stuff to put another build together for late game. Focus on putting points into your stats and getting your weapons maxed out. And then once you get your weapons maxed out, then worry about your health or your key or your key consumption and stuff like that. Don't worry about putting a build together. Now, if you can't wait, if you need to put a build together, then this method is going to be very, very long and taxing, but it's going to pay off for you if you decide that this is what you want to do. So, what I would do is, as you can see, I'm in Dream of the Demon right now. What I would do is I would pretty much complete Dream of the Demon, go through each region, complete all the missions. As you can see, all the missions right here, all the main missions, these are just DLC down here, these three, but all the main missions are completely maxed out, as in I've pretty much completed every single mission in every single region. Okay? I've done every single mission, every single region. Once you've done that, you're going to go back you're going to go back through your regions, and then you're going to hover over certain missions to check and see if they have any type of um set drops, like equipment drops that are like named after a set. So for example, right here in this mission, it says Pit Viper's robes, Pit Viper's Hakama, and Pit Viper's shoes. That means that in this mission, if I defeat the boss, there is a chance. If I defeat like the main enemy, um there's a chance for the smithing text for this set to drop. Okay. Now, if you don't know what smithing text is, which you should by now, if you're this far in the game, smithing text pretty much is what drops in order for you to forge gear. So, in fact, I'll go to the dojo because that's an even better way to show you guys. Um, where could I find it? Let me do this, because smithing text is very important if you're trying to farm early game. Um, let's just do this. Is it showing up on there? Nope. Let me go to this one then. Let's go to Dream of the Nioh. All right, boom. There you go. So, as you can see right here, you see at the top it says smithing text training robes, smithing text training trousers. That means that in this, if I complete this mission, there's a chance for that smithing text to drop, and now I will be able to forge that specific armor in the blacksmith. Okay, so that's what smithing text is. Smithing text pretty much allows you to freely forge certain pieces of gear that you attain from a mission. Unlike basically in the newer game, excuse me, in like Dream of the Neo and stuff like that, you can't forge ethereal gear. You cannot forge ethereal graces. You have to have those drop. The RNG is a lot more prominent in the later game than it is in early game. You have to have ethereal gear drop. You cannot forge it. But for example, if you want to make a build earlier game in terms of like Dream of the Demon and Dream of the Wise, you want to go for smithing text. Okay, so um, that's the one thing you want to aim for when you're trying to make a build. If you can't if you can't wait until Dream of the Wise or Dream of the Demon and stuff like, or Dream of the Neo, you want to hover over certain missions. You want to check out certain missions and make sure you're looking at whether that mission drops a certain type of gear. For example, this right here, Bird in the Cage. As you can see, it drops the Kohoku Masters set pretty much. So if I go on this mission and I play this mission over and over again, and I beat the boss and stuff like that, I get a chance to drop that smithing text. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to literally hover over all of these missions. That's what you want to do. Hover over all of the missions. Check and see if those missions have sets that drop, such as this mission right here has a set. As you can see, this mission right here has a set. This mission has a set as well. This mission right here has a set. So check every single mission. Make sure they have a set that drops, and just play that mission over. Now, the reason why I'm telling you to do this for all of these stages is because what you want to do next is you want to make sure that you have a main weapon. Once you have a main weapon, after you've gotten all those smithing texts together, you go over to your blacksmith, you look over the smithing text, and so if I go to my blacksmith, I come over to forge. Go to armor, look over the smithing text and stuff. Basically look over the armor that drops from that smithing text. So say Saika's Yatagarasu was the smithing text I dropped, or I got the drop from Saika. Now I can look at its set bonuses. Now I look and see, does it have set bonuses that I want to use? No. Okay, so now we go into the next set that drop. Maybe I want to go with Master of Spears because I'm using a spear build. I found a set now that lets me use a spear build. Cool. I come over here, I look at the set bonuses. It has melee damage, triple threat damage, attack and defense spear, attack skills, key consumption, thrust damage. That's what I want to use. That sounds like it's going to be very good with the spear. So now I have myself a build, right? Now I have myself a set that I can put together. So you forge that set, boom, you come over here, use your divine fragments, forge the set, and then put that build together. Okay. Now this this method is a lot more difficult than rather than just going into Dream of the Wise and Dream of the Nioh and farming ethereal graces. This is a lot more difficult because it's going to be more time consuming, and you're going to have to literally fight certain bosses over and over and over again until you get those set drops from that boss. That's why I don't recommend this that's why I don't recommend putting it together a build for mid game players. I always recommend just max out the stats for the weapon that you're using. Just throw on some gear that's going to give you good amount of defense, good amount of toughness and stuff for you to stay alive, and then go through Dream of the Demon and then get to Dream of the Wise and Dream of the Nioh, where that's where ethereal gear starts to come into play. So that's pretty much it for that. Like I that's why I say I don't really recommend putting a build together until you hit Dream of the Wise, where ethereal gear starts to drop. I don't recommend putting a build together yet, just because it's going to take you a long time, and then you're going to be frustrated because now it's going to take you like a week to put together a build or something like that, because maybe you don't have enough time to farm a boss over and over again. So like, just wait, be more patient. The game actually, like, as the game went along and as time progressed, it became a lot easier for newer players because the older players had to wait for all this stuff to drop. We had to wait until the newer DLCs and the newer difficulties came out in order to get that stuff. So since you all have access to that stuff like right off the bat, it's a lot easier for you to make a build if you just have more patience and wait until the later game. Because honestly, if we're being completely honest, of course I had a build in that stage of the game, simply because again I had to wait for the newer difficulties to drop before I was able to even hit those difficulties. But once I hit Dream of the Wise, Dream of the Nioh, I had to change my build up like 3 or 4 times, because now I'm like, oh man, this set is more powerful than this set. This set is better than this set. I go through Dream of the Nioh and I get to Underworld, and I'm realizing my build is not even nearly as strong enough as I thought it would be. But it was strictly because my stats weren't high enough. So your stats matter more so than your build does. Max out your stats first. Get your stats maxed out to the point where you're doing enough damage. Don't worry about, don't think that it's because you don't have a build. It's probably not because you don't have a build. It's probably because you don't have the stats. So get your stats up first and then worry about a build. By the time your stats are high enough and you're worried about a build, you'll probably be at Dream of the Nioh by then. So don't worry about, putting a build together in the mid game. Worry about getting your stats high, progressing through the game, and then focusing on your main weapon. That way, when you do get to that point, you already know what weapon you're going to use, how you're going to build around that weapon, and you already know which sets work the best with that weapon. Okay? So if you can't wait to make a build, do the method I told you. Go through the whole story first, like go through the whole difficulty first, come back, hover over missions that you see sets on, grab those sets no matter what set it is, because you don't technically, like, it's going to be hard for me to tell you exactly which sets are for which weapons. Like, you can actually look that up online. It'd be a lot easier for you to do that rather than me trying to go through and trying to tell you and remember every set that goes with every weapon. But go through, hover over the mission, see if that mission has a certain set that matches, like that names that match on those pieces of gear. Farm that mission, get those smithing texts to drop, forge the smithing text, and then you know, now you can start putting your bills together. But this should have been a pretty short one. I hope you guys helped you guys out. Of course, you know, if you have any questions, I'm always available to answer those. You can always hit me up and ask me questions. I'm always here for that. So I appreciate you guys. It's King Ray Diamonds, and I'm out.